Welcome back to 101 East. Joining us now is East Timor's President and Nobel laureate Jose Ramos-Horta. Mr. President, thank you very much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Mr. President, if you could please describe for us the relationship East Timor has with Indonesia 10 years after the referendum.
I would say we have exemplary relationship, the best two countries can have, should have, particularly as neighbors. Indonesians were also very pragmatic and sensitive in walking back halfway to meet us after the breakup of that previous relationship in '99.
How difficult is it for you to engage politically with a force, a power that had so brutally occupied your nation for 24 years, a power that you had sought to, from which you had sought to free your people?
Well, I can confess and share with you that the very first time I went to Indonesia in '99, October '99, soon after the violence, and had a meeting with all the top generals, including the head of the armed forces, General Wiranto. And I look at the names on their chest. It was names that I recognized as those who over the years were notorious in East Timor. It takes a lot of, courage, stomach, to look at their faces and their names and keep your cool, your serenity. And that's what I did. It's not that, I forgot what happened to what was done to the people here, to my own family. I lost one sister, two brothers. But the worst was over, and that was the Indonesian occupation.
And you think that there is true reconciliation between Indonesia and East Timor?
Yes, and the truth of this reconciliation, or the true reconciliation, that it is not only us, presidents, ministers level, people to people. There are thousands of Indonesians living here in East Timor. In 10 years, although we have had violence here, as you have reported widely, particularly in 2006, where Timorese killed each other, and yet in 10 years there has not been a single act of violence against Indonesian citizens living here. Indonesian artists coming from Indonesia here always have thousands and thousands of people attending their concerts. So the reconciliation is at the people-to-people level.
But in 2001, you were quoted as saying, "There can be no reconciliation without justice. We cannot declare an amnesty. The UN Security Council must do what it is supposed to do, and that is set up a war crimes tribunal." Now you emphatically reject that idea. Why?
October '99, I was very angry with what had happened here. If Indonesia had not walked out of Timor in '99, following the referendum, yes, I would have vigorously pursued every avenue. One would be an international tribunal. But once they walk out, and we then had to start focusing in securing our borders, because hundreds and hundreds of armed militias fled to West Timor, from where instability could come to East Timor, and none other than the current president, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, senior in the cabinet at the time in the army. He was the one who really persuaded the ex-militias in West Timor to calm down. And these so-called militias, East Timorese, living in Atambua, in Kupang, Kefamananu, and elsewhere, they have said to me, they have said to our officials, meeting with them, they said, "We don't want to continue to harm our country. Our people have suffered enough." So their own contribution to peace and stability in East Timor is that they have not done one single act that aim at destabilizing their former country. And because of that, I acknowledge that. I thank them for that. And that's why I say no more international tribunal. I prefer that every event that happened up to 99, starting 75, we should put to rest.
But we have spoken to many victims of the massacres. They have said to us that they feel justice has not been done. They feel that you are not holding Indonesia accountable for the actions between 1975 and 1999.
Well,
Have you asked them?
Obviously, my mother is the mother of some victims. She also has a strong emotions about this issue. But she, like many mothers, many victims that I have talked to, they agree with our policies of normalization relations with Indonesia, of reconciliation. And let me tell you further, if the issue of justice was so important, justice about the past, for the common people, in the recent case of an ex-militia who was conditionally handed over to the Indonesian embassy happened, you would have had thousands of people demonstrating in the streets in Delhi, not one.
We are talking about Martinez Perez, who was released on the 10th anniversary of the referendum. Many people that we've spoken to say that that is a slap in their faces. A slap in the faces of the victims of the Suai Church massacre, the Santa Cruz Church massacre, Lequisa massacre. Of all the victims of these massacres, they say, why did you release him? Why are you not respecting them?
Well, obviously, there are few, and I emphasize the word few, individuals, NGOs particularly, who, if you ask them the question pointedly, of course, they express their sentiment. But I am telling you again, this city is a city of 150,000 people. If the issue of Mr. Bere is such an important one, and the decision made by the Prime Minister together with the Minister of Justice to hand him over to the Indonesian embassy was so wrong and create such anger, you would have thousands of people demonstrating.
Why didn't you hold him? Why doesn't East Timor put him on trial?
He's an Indonesian citizen. If we are going to try an individual who today is an Indonesian citizen because of crimes that happened 10 years ago, where would we stop? Why only the people who committed crimes in 99? Why not other East Timorese who committed crimes in 75 to 77?
Well, why not? Why not?
It would lead this country nowhere if we want to pursue justice blindly.
But doesn't it also encourage a culture of impunity? You're not holding these people accountable for what they've done.
You know, when you say this, I repeat what I said before in a sarcastic manner. As I told Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General, you know, often all of us fall into academic jargons. Someone coined a phrase, impunity, and everybody repeats it. But
basically you don't feel that
no,
that there is a culture of impunity here.
Yes,
in East
and I
Timor.
prove.
But you've given amnesty to 94 listed prisoners. You've released most of them. People walking down the street will feel that, well, I can pretty much do whatever I want and I can get away with it. We've seen gang warfare on the streets of East Timor. We've seen the 2006
That has
coup.
nothing to do.
You yourself survived an assassination attempt.
But that has nothing to do with the so-called impunity. It has to do with poverty, it has to do with housing, land disputes, people fight because of that. Look, the violence in South Africa, does that in Johannesburg, in Cape Town, in Soweto, that has to do as consequence of Nelson Mandela's and Desmond Tutu, South Africans' policies on reconciliation rather than justice? No, it has to do with unemployment. It has to do with poverty in South Africa. Absolutely nothing related to the policy of reconciliation in South Africa.
But you can definitely understand, though, East Timorese who have watched their husbands, their wives, their children get tortured, abused, murdered, sexually mutilated during the Indonesian occupancy right up to 99 and just after the 1999 referendum. You can see how they look to you and they ask, why are you not holding the Indonesians accountable for what they've done to your people?
What I prefer is that we, the state of Timor-Leste, look after them, look after the victims, those who are alive, look after them in their mind, in their bodies. That's what we can do. To go after Indonesian generals and militias lead us nowhere.
During the referendum celebrations, you said, we once and for all close the 1975 to 1999 chapters of our tragic experience. We forgive those who did us harm. You are confident that a majority of East Timorese share this view?
Yes, I am.
Why not hold a referendum? Why not ask your country if they want Indonesia and the other East Timorese who were involved in the violence, if they want to hold them accountable? Would you hold a referendum?
In 2004, President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono made his first state visit after being elected president to none other than East Timor. I was the minister in attendance, so escorted him throughout the city. If anyone wanted, and I used the word referendum, I called the UN special representative at the time and I said, if you wanted a referendum on our policies of reconciliation with Indonesia, you had it. Thousands of people came to the streets, applauding, clapping, greeting SBY. If the sentiments were of such anger, minimum would be total silence, boycott. No one would show up in the streets. Everybody wanted to shake hands with him. There was not one single voice of protest. That it showed what? The maturity of the East Timorese people. Much greater maturity than Amnesty International, the UN bureaucrats who lecture us on justice and justice and justice.
Mr. President, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have from the 101 East team here in Dili, East Timor. Thanks for watching.